Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here on this early Saturday morning. My name again is Ed Samuel. I'm a career coach with Sam Nova. We are based in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, and serve clients in Greater Philadelphia and across the U.S. Our topic today is going to be secondary sources of income. It's going to be a three-part series, and I'm going to try to, give you my feelings in terms of why you should have a secondary income stream. And so here we go. If you were to ask me this question, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I may not have even thought it as a necessity. But after 2008, and you saw banks default, you saw large, well-respected firms, driven to their knees. And of course, you saw many, many layoffs that ensued. You also saw a series of acquisitions since then between company and other companies and consolidations. And so this whole idea of secondary income has been gnawing at me for quite some time. And as a career coach, I love to see people who are unemployed land a job. I love to see people, advance their careers and land the job, shift their careers and land the job. But I'm no longer this big believer of kind of a blind faith, and let's land the job and let's put 100% of our loyalty, our emotional reserves into this singular employer, whether it's a small firm, a medium firm, a big giant firm. Even those employers on the best to work list that come out every year, those firms as well lay people off. And, if you watch what happened to firms like Kodak, I remember DuPont in its heyday. That was the place to go. They were on the best firms list, and DuPont has lost well more than half of their entire employee population in the last 20 years. Think of the Enrons of the world, a complete sham, and all the people that lost jobs there. Wells Fargo recently announced within the last month, they're going to be laying off 22,000 people. Now, and unfortunately, I get a weekly report of firms across the U.S. that are closing or laying people off. It's beyond sad. It happens continuously. But I love the fact that people are, again, landing jobs. But I want to go a little bit deeper on this, on why people get laid off and kind of the swagger firms use from the moment they decide to hire you. And this is, again, part of what troubles me. And it begins when companies have shifted offer letters, perhaps. And you go to that infamous page 2 of an offer letter or page 3, and it says, you're joining us and we're an at-will firm. Now, what does at-will mean? At-will means that they could come up to you at any time, a week after you've started, a month after you've started, a year after you've started, and just tap you on the shoulder. You're no longer needed at this firm. It's at-will. Now, but they expect loyalty from you. They expect you to work for them, and you're going to get paid, and they're looking for 100% commitment to them. And that's fine, but can they guarantee it? Can they guarantee your loyalty? Can you guarantee their loyalty? On a broad brush, it's absolutely not. Don't be all in. Now, let's think about why companies let people go. One reason that happens a lot, a company's bought, a company's merged. And every time a company gets merged, when it comes to the shared services, the common functions like HR, finance, IT, facilities, you don't need two of everything. And eventually, people will get let go just because of a merger. Sometimes people get let go just because it was bought. And some of the private equity firms, they buy firms just to cut costs so that they could turn around and sell the company or break the company apart. I was at a company where that happened, multi-billion-dollar company where that happened. So I know firsthand what that looks and feels like. Sometimes it's just a new boss. You worked for the same boss, and then next thing you know, your boss gets sick, decides to go somewhere else. You have a new boss that comes in to your company, and they don't like the way you look. They don't like the way, you smile. They don't like the way you argue. They don't like your background. And you're going to get laid off in some way, shape, or form. They're going to come up with a way to move you out of the company. They may want to bring in their own team from their past. That happens a lot. It really doesn't matter what your tenure is, what your success rate has been when that happens. Maybe it's your boss's boss is brand new. They came in and they want to see change happen. No fault of yours, no fault of your boss's. Next thing you know, they're letting people go. And again, it could be for, in their minds, the right reasons. But again, you're being loyal. You're working hard for this company. How about if you're in a pharma company? Maybe you're in a newer pharma company, maybe an older one, and you have 2 or 3 drugs pending FDA approval, and none of those drugs get approved. FDA turns them all down. Usually what happens, unless there's a backup plan, people get laid off. I've seen executives go to big board meetings, get all excited. Hey, we're going to open up 1,000 new retail stores, and they do all around the country. 5 years later, more than half of them are going to shut down because they're all losing money, and a lot of people are going to get laid off, including you. How about the infamous CFO that you hear about? They do exist. Whether it's a man or a woman, they come in and they're known for, bloodletting. They're known for cutting costs. Now the new CFO came in. People get let go. And again, no fault. They're not doing necessarily anything wrong. But again, you're putting all your loyalty into that firm, trusting that if you work really hard, they're going to reward you and you're going to be there a long time. Be careful. And finally, I'm going to talk about nonprofits. Nonprofits can change. A new board member could come in, somebody with more power, more sway. And next thing you know, if you're an executive director, you could be very much out of a job with no notice at all, just because new board members have come in and are making dramatic changes. Again, you could be working at this new company. You could be there a long time, a short time. You're killing yourself. You're working really, really hard. Maybe you're the superstar of the division. Maybe you're the superstar of the team. Maybe you're the steady Eddie or steady Betty that just goes in, gets the job done every day, and you do a good job. Never complain. Maybe you're the person who always gets an excellent performance rating. Maybe you get awards every year. Maybe just recently, you got bonuses, and then it happens. What happens? It's a Friday. Out of nowhere, you get tapped on the shoulder. Your services are no longer needed. Please pack up your possessions, and you'll be, this is your last day of employment, and no reasons given to you. I call that a sucker punch, and it catches you by surprise. It knocks 100% of your wind out of you. Your world gets turned upside down. And as a career coach, I've seen this happen. I talk to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and I've seen every one of these scenarios play out. And many times, no one saw it coming. 100% sucker punch. Now, some firms, they try to help. So I don't want to paint the picture as completely unhelpful. Some firms might give someone a severance, and that's some money as you go through this transition to find that new job. But a lot of people get $0. You might get outplacement support where they'll provide you some type of a coach to help you work on your resume, work on your branding, and help you a little bit with, getting back to work. But many people get no outplacement support. And by the way, the outplacement support these days is coming more of a commodity-like service versus a high quality outplacement support to keep costs down. Sometimes I've talked to people who've gotten outplacement support, and it's nothing more than a series of videos. And the person they're working with is, in Nebraska somewhere from a video, over a video camera. They never even have one-on-one counseling. It's not that helpful overall when we get into that kind of outplacement support. But remember, way more people don't get outplacement support. Way more people do not get severance. The other thing is that some companies say, well, hey, what we'll do is we'll extend your benefits for 90 days. Well, many don't extend the benefits at all. And one of the most horrible things that you see firms doing all the time, it happens, I've seen it happen countless times, right before Christmas. That Friday, before you head off to Christmas and the New Year's, you get tapped on the shoulder that Friday. Your services are no longer needed. But yet you were the loyal employee. You were the one who put everything into this company. You trusted your boss. You trusted your boss's boss. You trusted the firm. You worked really, really hard just to get tapped on the shoulder. A sucker punch. That's what I call it. Now, some of it's the times we live in, and some of the reductions in workforce are warranted because the company is there to make money. So I understand that. But I think it's time that everybody, takes account of what's really continuing to play out. And I'm now a fan of no longer putting 100% of your sweat, your toil, your emotional bank into a company, even though you work hard and you get paid, because these things are happening more and more and more. So I say to truly optimize your career and put yourself in a position so you will never have 100% of your wind knocked out. Try as hard as it may seem to get some secondary income coming in. Now, when I say secondary income, I'm not talking about doubling your income, your existing day job income, but I'm saying whether it's 5%, whether it's 10%, try to get something in that's outside of your normal work duties, and whether it be part-time somewhere or self-employment or perhaps even a passive income stream. And we're going to talk about all of these things in a few minutes. And yeah, this is hard, because what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to go take on something over and beyond what you're currently doing, but to get another source of income going. This way, when you have that income going, you get tapped on that shoulder. It's still going to be a sucker punch. It still may not be expected, but if you have another income stream coming, it will no longer take 100% of the wind out of you. It may still hurt, but it won't hurt as much, because you know what? You'll still have gas money. You'll still have some food money. Yeah, you might get unemployment, but the company doesn't own you. They don't control you. They don't have 100% of you, because remember, it's an at-will company for the most part, and they could tap you on the shoulder at any point. So don't put 100% of your livelihood in that singular company. And that's what this program today is all about. And this is why I'm going to spend the next couple of programs on this entire topic. Now, if you want to start a secondary income stream, there's a couple of things that you have to take a look at. And by the way, before I go on, I'm making this argument for people who are making $20,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $150,000 a year, $300,000 a year, $1 million a year. I would make this argument to every single person, no matter what their walk, no matter what their income stream. As you start thinking about this, one of the things I like you to do is I want you to look at your original employment letter, your job offer letter, and I want you to see if there's anything in it, or if you signed a contract, if there's anything in it that would prevent you from having a secondary income stream. Now, that's a warning all in itself. When you go to accept a job offer, I would argue, make sure there's a provision that allows you to have a secondary income stream. Now, for some people that are at the president level, CEO level, they're very, very careful. And some of their covenants could be very restrictive, because they don't want you to go and start a company while you're leading a company. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm going to be talking about a smaller bit of income just to have something on the side. But if your original job offer letter said you're restricted, you can't do X, Y, and Z, then starting a secondary income stream will be problematic, and you will have to go to your current employer to get an approval, or you run the risk of being in violation. Now, the other aspect is there's nothing on the offer letter at all, and you start working for the company. And some of you may have been working for a company 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, 1 month, and you're hearing this program, you say, hey, Ed, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to go off and start a secondary income stream. Well, a lot of times what will happen with companies, you'll get a job offer, you'll sign it, you'll send it in. And then during the onboarding process in that first 30 days, 2 weeks, 30 days, you're going to be giving the employee manual. And in that employee manual, it's going to give you restrictive covenants, what you can and cannot do. One of the covenants typically is a conflict of interest. So if you worked for a pharma company and you looked at that wording, you might be okay if you worked at Wawa, but you may not be okay if you worked at any organization that might be deemed a competitor of the pharma company or in the pharmaceutical realm at all. So again, one of the things I ask you to do is, you could take a look at your offer letter. You could take a look at any contract that you sign. You could take a look at the employee handbook, and you could you could figure it out yourself. Or I recommend, because it's this important, to go spend $300-$400 and sit down with an employment attorney and say, do I have rights here to go off and acquire a part-time job? So there's some pre-work that I would want you to do. Now, many places, there's no precondition at all. Some cases, there's no employee handbook at all, which is a different problem. And there's nothing mentioned in the employment letter, or no contract was signed. So you're free just to move forward. Now, let's talk about part-time income. And we're going to start getting into it right now in terms of the types of income that's available to you to pursue. Now, one theme I coach people on is, do something that you like. So if you're going to get this part-time income, bringing in 5% or 10% of your income stream, let's just say you love the outdoors. Well, get a job that's outdoors. Maybe you like physical work. Well, get a job part-time as a landscaper. Maybe you like animals. Maybe it's horses. Maybe it's tied to your profession. If you're an engineer, there's things that you could do as an engineer, outside of work. Maybe, you can work for an organization, a nonprofit organization that you like. Maybe it's sports, but you can pick something that you like and target that to get that part-time effort. Now, of course, you could say, hey, Ed, I'm just happy to go get a part-time job. I'll do anything. And it really doesn't matter. And that's perfectly fine as well. Perfectly fine as well. So here are a few ideas. And these are real ideas because I coach people on this whole entire topic. So one, get a part-time job at a retail store. I was in Target recently and I saw a sign that either said $13 or $14 an hour. It's competitive out there, and those minimum wage, there is a minimum wage, but you see it creeping up. Maybe it's Best Buy, maybe it's Lowe's, maybe it's Wawa, maybe it's the local flower shop. Now, whatever it is in retail, the one thing you have to be careful of is that a lot of retail stores, and some of the box stores, as they call them, they require evening and weekend hours. And I know a person recently who went to go work at one of the major box stores, and they said, well, I can't do Wednesday night, and no matter what, because I have something else that I'm committed to. And guess what? The first thing they said is, we need you to work Wednesday night. And this is after they told them when they were hired. And believe it or not, this box store let the person go, because they couldn't work Wednesday nights, even though they told them that up front. So you have to have some flexibility here. But remember, we're talking 5 to 10% of your income. We're not talking about you have to do this every night. You have to do it every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. This could be, 2 days a week for 4 hours each, and you're done for the week. This is what we're talking about. So don't make it bigger than what it needs to be. But sometimes, you'll find in the retail at your local town, the smaller sole proprietor stores, you'll have more flexibility. The owner has more flexibility. They're not the big box store. They're not the named retail stores. They understand, hey, okay, you can't work Wednesdays. I understand that. I'm not a machine. I can work through that with you. So some of the small stores, you might find flexibility there. Now, another one, this is a common one, be a waiter, waitress at a restaurant of some sort, early morning, late in the day, evening. And understand, there's tips involved. Now, another part-time job that I know many people have done, and it may sound crazy, but being a delivery driver for pizza, people have made a lot of money on a weekly basis. I mean, I'm talking about, 2 or 3 nights a week, you're bringing home $400 a week, and most of it's due to tips. It's pretty amazing. Now, I don't want you to get you all excited and go out and get it, and then find out that it's only $100 a week. But I think over the years, delivering pizza, for some reason, the tips just run high, and there are people that do that because it pays so well. The other thing I want you to do, when it comes to restaurants, food venues, don't wait for the help wanted sign to go on display on the front door. Go and talk to the manager. Hey, I'm looking for a part-time job. Here are the days I can work, Mondays and Friday nights. Do you have anything available for me? So these are part-time roles that you can go after. Now, one more that I'm going to get at is let's say you want to leverage your profession and take your profession and turn it into a hobby business. I know an engineer who works at a large firm in Maryland, and very successful, but he started his own business outside of work, and he makes piano footstools of all things. And he sells them across the U.S. They're absolutely beautiful. He uses his engineering skills. He combined it with a hobby. They have a website, and they sell these footstools to piano teachers and people, and those students and the parents across the U.S. They make money doing that. But this is more of an example where you could take your profession and really turn it into a business for yourself. Let's hit a couple more. Let's say someone loves horses. Hey, I've seen in the newspaper time and time again, hey, we need help weekends. We need help Saturday mornings, Sunday afternoon, whatever, just to help at large horse farms. We actually had a client once a few years back, and he wanted to go work at a horse farm or an estate. And I think in Chester County alone, we counted over 63 horse farms / large estates. And he had a resume, and he went and he talked to the general manager at many of those estates and landed a job. You could do the same thing on a part-time basis. You have to be somewhat creative. Now, another one is if you love your church, your synagogue, your temple, many times they have part-time needs. Ask the executive pastor, ask someone in charge, the rabbi, the priest, hey, what can we do on a part-time basis? And again, it's these are just ideas, just a starting point. Now, on our next program, we're going to continue and talk about a few more areas. Now, let's see. On our next show, we're going to continue this discussion. We're going to talk about network marketing. On the next show, we're going to talk about how possibly to become a career assessment consultant. And we're going to have a couple of guests. We're going to get into franchising and absentee ownership, and we're going to have a guest who's an expert in franchising join us next week. So let's do just a brief recap of what we talked about. Number one, don't put 100% of your emotional and income loyalty into a corporate firm or organization. You run a risk. Everybody can get tapped on the shoulder. Even the people that are here listening today who are very, very content, very, very happy, I urge you to work with a career coach and get that 5 to 10% of income coming in, so you avoid that sucker punch when it happens. I don't think that it never will, because I've talked to countless people who said, Ed, I'm in a great place, and they called me 90 days later with that sucker punch. Seek counsel from a career coach that's highly knowledgeable and has a deep network in the secondary part-time income field. All right. Well, hey, we're just about out of time. Please join us again on our next Optimize Your Career program, Saturday, November 17th. We'll continue our discussion on secondary income. We'll discuss franchising, income properties if we can get to it. This again is Ed Samuel, career coach with Sam Nova. Our website is www.samnovainc.com. That's SAMNOVAINC.com. If you'd like to reach me with a question or comment, email me at esamuel@samnovainc.com or call our main number at 610-274-8214. So make it a great weekend. So long for now, and God bless.